Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to have this opportunity to present to you on how Dell Technologies is helping organizations fortify their business continuity and resiliency strategy. Through my presentation, I'm sharing you an overview of the products and solutions offered by Dell Technologies. Let's dive in. So Dell Technologies has a comprehensive portfolio of protecting proven and modern workloads. The data protections group within Dell Technologies has a range of software and hardware solutions that help organizations protect their workloads. We have backup targets, which is built on purpose-built backup appliances. They differ from general purpose storage. These purpose-built backup appliances offer maximum backup performance with the highest data reduction efficiency and the security over a general purpose storage. With connectivities to all open backup softwares from various vendors, this becomes a true open architecture. We also have an integrated appliance that allows you to use the Dell software and the Dell appliances as an integrated solutions, thereby improving your time to value. These appliances and backup software applications help you protect your organization's data for operational recovery. We also provide protection to the cloud, where data can be stored directly to the cloud and organizations can protect their data without managing the infrastructure on-premise. The next use case is to have the ability to build DR. We have offerings around here. The first and foremost is keeping a backup copy offsite electronically, where you don't need to move physical tapes from one side to another. The second is to have the ability to restore this backup copy into a public cloud of your choice. The third being using it as a service. The other use case is archive to cloud, where you keep a copy of your long-term backups, not on a physical tape media, but into a public cloud. This can be a public cloud or an on-premise cloud storage, such as the Elastic Cloud Storage from Dell. This not only reduces the amount of time associated to move these copies, but also helps you reduce the network requirements. So when you're sending large chunks of copies of data into the public cloud, you don't require a huge, heavy bandwidth to store this data. The most emerging space is protection against ransomware. We've seen increasing attacks on organizations, and organizations often have to lose some data or are seeing breaches happening. We have a solution that we built to protect organizations' data using our cyber recovery solution. I'm going to dive into it in a little bit, but this is one important space that Dell has developed solutions at. The last one is protection for workloads into the cloud. If you're moving your applications from on-prem to a public cloud, or if you're protecting applications that are born in the cloud, Dell has a comprehensive portfolio that can protect workloads born in cloud or applications that are moved from on-premise to a cloud. So irrespective of which cloud provider you use, what platform you run on, and what application you use, Dell's comprehensive portfolio of software and hardware solutions provide you a consistent protection mechanism across any of these mediums. Today, cyber is the new disaster. You are more likely to face a cyber attack than a DR. Now, most often, standard BCP DR practices are not enough against a ransomware attack. If you look at DR, the guidance around it is mostly based on the recovery point objective, the recovery time objective. The RPO is almost near continuous, near zero. And the time to recover has to be near instant. Standard DR and BCP is not enough to protect against modern cyber attacks. Disaster recovery is based on RPO and RTO, which is almost near instantaneous, near zero. You need to have a continuous copy stored offsite so that you ensure you have zero data loss or near zero data loss. The type of disasters that you would protect against is usually power outages, floods, etc. And usually they are contained to a specific region. So if your data centers are placed across seismic zones, then you probably need to just protect it against one disaster or all. The topologies are usually connected. You want to keep mostly all copies of your data into the DR so that your business applications feel least of the impact when they're brought up. And standard DR practices are enough. Most organizations follow that very effectively today. They have, rigid, robust DR practices for failover and failback testing. As compared to that, a cyber recovery is very different. In a case of a ransomware attack, you're more likely to look for a reliable, clean copy, and the copy could be as old as up to 1 day. Now, potentially, this means you have a data loss for a certain period of time, but you are not going out of business. Cyber attacks are usually very targeted, and they spread across all sides. They cannot be contained to one side only. It's very, very important that you keep this copy isolated to be able to recover from a cyber attack. Because in a connected world today, where all your primary and your production and your DR systems are connected, the impacts can be quite crippling. So your recovery process is very selective and very iterative. So what are the guidance that we see across the board? You see analysts recommending having an isolated recovery environment. You have statutory bodies saying that your environments where your backup should be disconnected or stored offline. You have a host of organizations saying the same thing, which in principle means that having isolation, air gap, is a major design principle and a best practice for cyber resilience. So if you're looking at trusted recovery, how do you build one? At Dell Technologies, we believe that's the principle of 3 I's. Isolation. You keep a copy of your data isolated from your production, physically and logically. You build something called as a vault. This vault helps you build a second layer of defense against ransomware attack. Second I is immutability. You keep the copy of this data immutable or in a worm tamper-proof format. Third is to have the ability to identify and recover a good copy very quickly. Using these principles, we have built PowerProtect Cyber Recovery solution to help organizations create the last line of defense from ransomware attacks. Let's look at your data center today. You have applications that are running your production, your non-production, all type of workloads, physical, virtual. And as a part of your standard operational recovery, you keep a copy of this data into a backup device. As an augmentation to your backup architecture, you will have a copy of this sent to a DR location, and this data is electronically vaulted. Now, with this cyber recovery solution, what we want to do is build a vault site, which is air gapped or disconnected from your production network, which means nobody from your production environment can reach into the vault. At a scheduled time, the vault actually initiates a communication into your production backup device and synchronizes the latest copy of your data into the vault. Once the data is synchronized and received into the vault, the automated air gap is automatically enabled. So what happens is your vault site is no longer accessible or visible to anybody in the production site. Once the copy reaches the vault site, you create a copy and protect it using worm, write once, read many format, and make it tamper-proof. This immutable copy is then further used for analysis using our software CyberSense to see if there is any kind of compromise or corruption that has cascaded into the backup copy. Now, there are some unique differentiators with CyberSense, which I'm going to talk in my following slide, but this is over and above your antivirus, your anti-malware, and all the detection mechanisms that you may have in the environment. This automated scan allows you to create a report on a daily basis to see where your clean copies reside So in case you have to do a recovery, you could be you can quickly point to the most clean copy and recover the data. How does CyberSense really work? Now, CyberSense actually is an analytic engine that uses over 100 plus full content analysis, which basically differ from just simple metadata. Now, usually metadata is a good indicator if the file or the data is compromised. The usual way to know is look at how some of the known ransomwares work, if there are any mass deletions, creations. These are indicators from metadata, and that's one thing that CyberSense does. The other thing it does additionally is look at the content and match it with the metadata. So looking at mismatched file extensions, looking at the content for any kind of corruption is what we do. One of the unique things that we do is not just compare the metadata for any corruptions, but we look at the metadata and the content and compare it with the content data to see if this file is authentic. Then we look at the entropy of the file, which means entropy is actually a good indicator to see if the file and the data is corrupted at any point in time. Lastly, we ensure that the integrity of the file and the database and even your backup images is there. Now, here's an example of same file. One of them is a pre-attack and the other one's the post-attack. If you're looking at only the metadata of the files, you would see that both of these files look exactly identical. But the file name, the file size, and the file extensions are not going to be indicators to detect if the file has been breached. However, when you scan this data with CyberSense, you can look into it and find out at the content and the entropy levels to see if this file has been changed, modified, or corrupted. So you can see the post-attack version of the file indicates an entropy level of 99 vis-a-vis the pre-attack, which had 48. This helps you ensure that you have a clean copy of data that can be recovered at any point in time. Now, at Dell Technologies, data protection has been a part of the company for over 23 years. So we have a lot of customers using our technologies, trusting our technologies. We have 1,300 plus customers who have already embarked on the cyber recovery solution and have realized the values. Very recently, we've introduced the PowerProtect Cyber Recovery solution on public clouds, including AWS, Azure, and GCP. So no matter where your data resides, your cyber resiliency strategy can be met using Dell Technologies data protection solutions. Cyber recovery is the only true air-gap recovery system. Isolation, operational recovery for your data with vaulting. Having multi-layered security defense, including protecting not just from outsiders, but including the insiders. You having automation to eliminate human intervention through a very simple UI. We have analytics based inside the vault to give you a short, clean copy. We are the first solution provider member in the Sheltered Harbor program. And most importantly, we had maturity by serving hundreds of customers in this space. So if you have any questions, if you would like to know more about the Dell Technologies PowerProtect Cyber Recovery solution, please feel free to contact Dell representatives, and we'll be happy to. Thank you.